2, 3.
What up, guys? It's your girl, T. Bella, your darling. If you tuned in today, that means you're here for your interview, T. And today we have none other, like you guys, I'm really excited. We have Grammy-nominated artist, very talented actor, comedian, producer, speaker, all around just motivation, Mr. Willie Moore Jr. Say hi, girl.
Hey, what's going on? How you doing? It's breaking up a little bit. I can hear you, but it's kind of breaking up a little bit. How you doing, honey? You doing well?
I'm doing wonderful. I've been really excited to have this opportunity to just sit and talk with you and tell you you are doing a wonderful job. I appreciate everything that you're doing, and I appreciate you taking the time to speak with us.
Man, glory to God. It's such an honor. I appreciate being on with you all.
So I'm going to just go ahead and just give my footnotes. One day I was scrolling through YouTube, and I was looking for videos, and I was actually looking for 5-Star Chick, the wrong version, and I ran across your version of it, and that's like 2012, and I was like, he's gospel now, and I really wanted to talk to you, like, how did you know that was the road for you to take, and you were ready to transition over to what God called you for?
You know, honestly, that wasn't something I was trying to do. I was in a club. I was in I forgot what club I was in. I was in California, the House of Blues with DJ Quick, and we had just finished up a really awesome concert. And at the end of my concerts, I always did this song called My Walk. And so, you know, at the end of the concert, I would say, man, y'all don't love Jesus up in here, and cats would put their drinks down, and I would give my Walk song. And then at the time, he told me, he was like, man, you know what you're doing is actually Christian music. I was like, Christian music, all right, cool. I mean, whatever it is, wherever it lays. And, man, I just started, you know, my music changed, my walk changed. And so, you know, I never been the type of dude who pretended to be nothing that I wasn't. Like, if I was singing Lay Your Body Down, that's what I was doing. If I was singing Four Walls, that's what I was doing. You know, before that, I was talking about, you know, rapping, shooting, and all that other stuff. And, you know, sad to say, you know, that's kind of what we were into. And so when I gave my life, it was organic. It was a change. And so God changed my pen, and it just represented where I was in my life. So it wasn't like, it wasn't this spiritual moment that most people have. I started going to church. My life started changing. My heart started changing. So my music started changing, and it just ended up being something that was organic that people could grab onto. And, you know, still real, still 100. But at the end of the day, we lead people to Jesus instead of ourselves.
And I appreciate that. I actually was reading up on you, and I saw that you went to school and you got a degree in psychology, like, of all things. Like, this is not even what you originally went to school for. Like, you were an athlete, an all-star student. And I really did. I had to show my son that you can follow Christ and still end up very successful and well off. And how did you know, and how did you tell people, okay, I don't want to do this anymore? How could you tell a young person that wants to leave that street life alone just encouraging words so they can move forward?
You know, most people don't want to leave what they're doing because change is hard, but change is inevitable, but growth is optional. And so you got to take on the option of growth. You got to say, you know what, I'm going to choose to grow. And everybody knows that you need a little dirt to grow. And so you may be in a dirty situation right now. It's important that you got to break away out of that dirt so you can break out of that balance. Most, you know, a plant isn't seen until it breaks out of the dirt, and then it becomes beautiful. And so most people are afraid to break out of that dirt, and that takes getting around different people. You know, I had a lonely season in my life where most people didn't want to be around me. I had to kind of isolate myself. They didn't want to be around me because I just didn't want to do everything that everybody was doing. And then, you know, of course you have that anxiety of, man, I'm leaving them, and oh, man, they leaving them. But the truth was, you know, I was with them when they was out in the club. I was out there when they was smoking. I was out there when they was drinking. But when I went to church and started, you know, living out the kingdom purpose in my life, they didn't come. So in actuality, I didn't lead them. They left me. You feel me? So when I started viewing it that way, it made it easier. But I didn't totally leave them. I still pray for them. And a lot of those people who, you know, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, they thought it was crazy. Now that, you know, life hit them, and they're like, yo, bro, like, how do I get down? Like, how do I do it? And I was telling them it's easy. God loves us not because we so good, but because he's so good. The moment we focus on that, we'll be able to live out our kingdom purpose. And so, you know, to a young person who's looking at their life and saying, you know, God, is there something else for me? The first thing you got to do is stop focusing on money. Money is just a byproduct of hard work. Like, if you work hard in anything, you know, the dude down the street from me, he sells zippers on our pants, like zippers. And he in the same kind of house I'm doing, you know what I mean? But he works really, really hard at what he does. And so, you know, you can do anything. And if you choose to stay focused on something long enough and be consistent with it long enough, it's going to pop. It's going to happen for you.
That's really encouraging from my standpoint, because I'm a nobody. I'm a fan that just wants to have an encouraging conversation. And that's encouraging because I don't know where this is going to lead, but I see you on your show with TV1. I saw you do an interview with Fantasia and Toya Wright. And I'm like, wow, he was just doing YouTube videos a couple of months ago. And you went from like the 7 p.m. slot to now you're at the 3 p.m. slot. And that's motivation. Personally, that's motivation for me. So, I mean, like I said, I follow you. Like, I am an actual fan, and I have questions. I know that you talk on relationships and give advice. So I've just been viewing, like, situations that I see, situations that I've been in, and I just want to get your input on just a couple of these questions, okay?
Okay, no problem.
Okay, so how do you tell a young woman who is dealing with what we call, quote unquote, a mama's boy? How do you have her to keep the faith? Because he's not necessarily a bad guy, but she can see that he's still, you know, holding on. What advice can you give to her, or what scripture should she read to just know that he's not ready, but he will be, and just to hang in there?
You know, the good thing is about a mama's boy is that the number one thing that you know now is that he loves a woman, right? And because he's able to love a woman, there is a part of him that could probably love you just the same. You know, I'm always excited when a man loves his mama, because that lets me know that he's been around a woman. He understands the securities, and he also understands the insecurities, because no matter what type of woman you are, 8 to 80, women go through a lot of different emotions. And so what I've learned is that most people, they want to be celebrated and not just tolerated. Most of the time, a woman takes on the attitude of, I'm just going to tolerate you doing what it is. But if you begin to celebrate that man like his mama does and say, you know what, I celebrate you because I'm excited about the fact that you love your mom. I'm going to celebrate you because at least you understand what a family structure could be. And you keep celebrating that man. And after you celebrate him, then you start telling him what you would like to happen. Hey, I know you love your mom to life, but tonight I wish that we could spend some time together. But after you celebrate him enough, then he's going to be like, you know what? I love that. It's all good. You know, not making any excuses for any man, because nobody's job is any difficult, or, you know, everybody's situation is individual. But just understand, as a black man, it's a lot that pulls on us. It's a lot of stuff that goes on in media. It's a lot of different attacks that we have to overcome. And so because of that, you got to have a woman in your corner who's supportive, who's encouraging. And sometimes the only encouragement we've ever got, and it was genuine, that lasts forever and it didn't turn fake, it was because of it was our mother, right? And so because it's our mom, you know, we look for those attributes of people who are celebrating us. You know, I always tell women there's two men on the inside of your man. It's either it's a king in there, and it's a fool in there. So whichever one you choose to speak to the most, that's the one you're going to get the most. So if you speak to the king in your man, you're going to get that king out. But if you keep talking to that fool, you're going to get a foolish man. You know, all you got to do is speak to the person that you want him to be, not the person that he is right now. He'll become that person you want to be. A woman has a power to speak life into a man, and he'll get him to the destination where he wants to be.
That's an awesome answer. Like that's a good ministry. So the second one that I want to speak on is, why is it harder for a man to forgive a woman for infidelity? But, you know, if it was the other way around, they're really well enough to be like, oh, it's okay, I'll forgive you. But if a woman makes a mistake, why is it so hard for a guy to just let go? Like, what advice can you give to a couple going through that right now?
You know, the truth is, it's always been a double standard when it comes to men and women, no matter how much we try to avoid that. You know, if a man is, you know, caught in infidelity, it's kind of like, man, you know, it's kind of what in some cultures, that's what men do. Even in the Old Testament, a man could have, you know, 100 wives, but if a woman stepped out on her husband, out of those 100, she was a harlot or a hoe. You feel me? And so because of that, you know, we still have that in our culture. At the end of the day, wrong is wrong and right is right. You know, I don't wish any man to step out on their wife and do what they do. But if that does happen, I've always encouraged couples to pray about it and see if this is something that you can work through. But after you make that decision, male or female, after you make that decision, stick to the decision. Because what a decision is, it cut off every other option. If you say yes to be in that relationship, you cut off every other option, and you do it through thick and thin, and you fight through that thing. If you're hungry and you want some Popeyes, well, some Popeyes and Burger King and the McDonald's, if you choose Popeyes, you cut off every other option. McDonald's and Burger King no longer exist. But what I want you to do is make that decision and push through. I think it's just as hard for male and female because that hurts. It hurts on the inside. You feel violated. I just think women have an awesome way of handling things that hurt them more because they're emotional. They're able to speak with their friends and talk through it, and they get it out. Men are too embarrassed to talk about something like that because the first thing we think we were less than a man. And it's hard to talk to your friends and your coworkers and even a counselor when you feel like you're less than a man. So I'm always encouraging men to start communicating. And to communicate his feelings and kind of understand them a little bit, it'll be a lot easier for them to kind of deal with infidelity.
You are awesome. And you know who's even more awesome? Your wife. I love you guys as a couple. That's relationship goals for me. Like, honestly, I'm in a new relationship, 3 years, and we're at the point of, do we get married? Do we wait? People are pushing us towards marriage, and I'm just like, I think we should wait. And that's the thing. How did you know that it was time for you to go ahead and make that step with your partner? Was it like a conversation that y'all kept having, or was it a one and done conversation and then you did it when you wanted to? Like, how did you approach that situation?
I got married way early. I didn't really know what marriage was. I was extremely immature, and I made a whole lot of mistakes. But through those mistakes, I learned a lot. I only dated her for like a year, and then I knew, I was like, man, I want to marry her. But I didn't know what a husband was supposed to be. I always tell people, man, our first 6 years of marriage, I was still single. Because mentally, I was living a single life. It was always about me, my dreams, my goal, me, my mind. And because of that, it added a lot of tension to our relationship. What I'm always telling couples to do, I tell them to do 3 things. Number 1, before you get married, find out what your kingdom purpose is. Because that person that you're with right now, right, like in 10 years from now, it's not going to be the same person. He's going to look different. He's going to act different. He's going to mature in different places. She's going to look different. It's going to be totally different. But your kingdom purpose at the core of what it is always going to stay the same. You can clearly define what you believe God is going to do collectively through that relationship. Now you have something to hold on to. So number 1, your kingdom purpose is important. Number 2, I'm always encouraging people to, black people sometimes don't want to go to a counselor. They'll rather just go to the church counselor who's going to say you just pray on it and you do it. And, it's real surface, but you got to dig deep. Like, hey, man, what their credit score is like? Hey, man, see how a person fights. See what she looks like without the weave in her head. You know what I mean? You got to see how things work out. So having a tough conversation, I'm always recommending it with a counselor. And then number 3, I want to make sure that you kind of get some goals on paper so you can see your 5, 10, 15 years, because I know if you have a goal in your face throughout the arguing, the fighting, the victories, and the triumph, once those goals are in your face, you always know how to collectively come back to number 1, which is your kingdom purpose.
All right. See, I knew I was going to get a word. I just was waiting on it, okay? Okay, so we're going to switch over to the radio thing. What do you dislike more, being interviewed or interviewing? Not saying that you don't like to interview, but what do you feel like, which would you prefer to do if you had to do it continuously?
I think I love them both equally. I would probably use the word challenging. I think sometimes the challenging part is when you're getting rapport with a person, and I think you did an amazing job letting the person know that you know who they are, that you worked through the interview before time. That lets people know that, hey, you care about me, you care about my time, and you gain rapport. You mirror that person. You see where their energy is. You see how it is, and so you can pull some really great information. When you told me, hey, you was on YouTube and you did that, you used a lot of keywords, and that made me feel comfortable. And so the interviewer, he drops his guard, she drops her guard, and now you're having a conversation on the playing field. But that takes a lot of, just kind of studying and rapport and doing what you have to do. Because sometimes you interview people that you're not really interested in, and so you have to learn to get that rapport and still get a great interview out of those people. So I think the more challenging portion of it all is probably be the interviewer versus the interviewer.
Okay, so who was the most powerful interviewer? You sat down and you thought about it like weeks later, you're like, wow, they really had some good words.
James Fortune, when he talked about...
I knew you was going to say that one. I saw it.
All right, James. Yeah, James was dope.
I figured.
Who else was really dope? Sherry Shepherd was really, really dope. It was good to sit down with her. And Candy Burris was like a big praise report. Like, we kind of had the nation pray for her because she couldn't have a baby at the time, and now she has a child. So, we get to see the fruits around her. Yeah.
I really like her. That's good. That's really good. So how do you personally prepare for a speaking engagement? Are you one of those really quiet, reserved type of people, or are you kind of like, I'm Willie Moore Jr., I got this?
Nah, man, I never get too cocky. I always want to know what God is going to say. Don't get me wrong, I'm confident because, whether I'm speaking or not, like I'm rehearsing, I'm studying every day. Like I'm downstairs. I'm downstairs at least 3 or 4 mornings out the week when I don't have to travel. And either I'm studying or working on something. So, you're always preparing. Of course, I got an arsenal of different speeches that we have, and we're able to build on it. But I'm always looking for that new, fresh thing. The new thing about being a speaker is that, you'll have your notes, you'll have it all together, and then God will decide to take you somewhere else, and it's more powerful. I think my biggest problem now is that sometimes I have my skeleton, my outline so much, and then I feel like God's tugging one way, and I'm like, I'm gonna get to that, but I got to get to the notes. So, but it's always fun. Like, I'm always doing what's to make people leave with something. I always try to keep it real. Surface. So people, we dig deep, but I always give a message so everybody can get it. I'm always thinking about the 8-year-old, and I'm always thinking about the 80-year-old too. So we're trying to cover our bases.
Yes, I'm happy because I was able to, I reference this. I have a young son. He's 10. And I'm able to pull up your videos, and he understands them, and he likes them, and you are a great reference. And I am excited that I can go to my child and say, remember that video I showed you? We had a conversation. And he's gonna look at me a lot differently, and that makes me really excited.
Yeah, man, your mom's great, man. I appreciate it.
Okay, so one final question: would you ever consider doing reality TV? Because I see your periscopes and they're awesome. So I follow you. I'm telling you, I really follow you. And would you ever consider, if it was presented right, would you ever tell your story like that?
You know what? Whatever God would want to do. We've been presented with a few great opportunities to be on reality TV. We turned a few of them down. But, if the right opportunity presented itself, we would. Many people don't know, like, I'm a television producer, so I produce Night Out TV, my stuff, and a few other shows that we're working on right now. And so I would probably have to get some type of production credit because I know what I want to see. I know what I want to present to the world. I have to have a bigger mission than just entertainment. Of course, it'll be entertaining, but, we got a dope 10-year plan. And so as people see the maturation of Willie Moore Jr., something will get better and better with time. So we kind of know where we want to go all the way up to 50. You feel me? So, and so if that reality show fits into our ultimate goal, then it's all good. Like, I love my family. I think we have some fun stuff going on. Like, I think being a Christian couple that's, real down to earth and ain't trying to be more than what God made us to be, I think people would enjoy
relevant. That. You guys are so relevant. Because it's you look like me, you talk like me, you are real, it's something that's relevant. And I really hope God places that in a position to where, cause I can see like a modern day Run's house, I could definitely see. I can see that happening.
I got a cool little squad. We're a cool little squad. We got our issues and we do our best to work through them. I don't know. Like, I would be okay with it, and I'm sure my son Peyton would be okay with it. But my wife and my 13-year-old, they kind of like, man, like it can be thousands of people. I'm like, come on, family, come out. They're looking at me like, I told you, don't tell me to come out here, So it's like the fake smile, like I'm gonna punch you when we get downstairs.
And I would be here for it. I would be here for it. Like, I really would enjoy that. So I know I've taken a lot of your time. So do you have any projects? I thought I heard that you were going to be a part of the State Farm family reunion, right?
Yeah, I'll be down there with Allstate on Labor Day. Tomorrow I'll be at the Merge Conference for a couple of days, working out in Los Angeles. Of course, we got the Dove Awards coming up, and then October the 9th, Ty Tribbett and I, we got a new television show on BET. It's called Joyful Noise. It airs October the 9th. It's going to be crazy. And, man, we got a lot of great things happening there. My wife and I, we got a new book. It's called Happily After All, Relationship 101, Keeping It 100. And it's just a lot of great stories about all the stuff that we endured in these last 11 years. So I'm excited about a lot of stuff. And, of course, that comes with a soundtrack. So we're back to music in November. We're in Newport Beach for about 4 days. We rented a house with the production team. We call it the writer's block, so we're just going to write a great soundtrack to this book. And then I might do kind of like a movie synopsis of it all, maybe 30, 45 minutes. So we still kind of work through that. But a lot of great things that happen.
I could hear that. I could definitely hear that. Flat out. Yeah. Like, I could hear that.
Yeah, it's going to be dope.
I thank you so much. I really thank you so much for your time. I'm a humble little fan-terview, and I'm so excited that you took the time out to speak with us and just my community, because I'm really big on community work. So I personally know what song I want you to request or play after this interview, but what song would you like to play after this airs?
One of my songs? I don't know. I don't know if you had the audio. We talked about relationships. I would love for maybe you play Work It Out, like one of the.
That's exactly the song that I was gonna say. That is exactly the song. I jam that song. Man. When me and Bay are going through it, I be like, let me just play this so we can get through this real quick.
That's what's up.
But I appreciate you so much.
No, my pleasure. Thank you for having me. Listen, you never know where people are going to go. And I just pray nothing but God's best. It was a time in my life when I was doing YouTube, and I was like, man, I'm going to be something, bro. Like, it's going to crack. Like, I just kept telling people it was going to happen. It was going to happen. And some people never gave me that opportunity to talk to them. But the funny thing is now they have to call me in hopes that they can be on the platform. And so that's why you just got to be humble enough to touch the people in their incubator stage, and I appreciate you allowing me to be a part of your journey. All right?
Thank you so much for your time. You have a good night.
All right, you also have a blessed one. Thank you.
Thank you.